Oh my god, it's 6 o'clock.
Holy crap.
Okay, we'll get started then. A couple quick announcements. We'll be doing Game Feel next week. I think the announcement initially said sound effects. We had some little bit of issues with that, so we'll be going over Game Feel next week. Additionally, if you're interested in paying your dues at all, Adam's of course here, so talk with him. If you did order a shirt last semester, those are now in. I do not have them with me today because unfortunately I came here right from class, so I did not have time to grab them. But if you are looking to get yours, just probably have them next week. Just reach out to me. I'll also be reaching out to people in case that anyone did order one and still has yet to get theirs. So, social night is going to be this Friday, February 6th from 7 to 10 in Carver. This building actually downstairs. We'll have pizza, so make sure to swing by, bring some games and some friends. Good time. So, alrighty. Kind of quick agenda for tonight. We'll be going over a little bit. I'll be yapping a little bit about UI and menu stuff. We'll then be kind of like creating a health bar in whatever application you want, suggesting Paint.net or whatever. As long as it supports transparency and layers is the main thing. So you could use GIMP too if you wanted. And then essentially we're just gonna take the health bars we're making and put them into Unity. So kind of get started on the yap part. So interface. So they all come in many different forms. Main kind of types of UI is gonna be menus, HUDs or heads-up displays. So those are kind of the main two that we'll be kind of talking about. There's a couple other ones, but just keeping it simple. They are a little bit similar, but there's a couple key kind of differences in how you kind of navigate them or not navigate them in the case of HUDs. But the main kind of thing is always going to be focus on important or communicating important information. The reason why you have a UI is to communicate things to the player, or not have one if you don't want to do that. But it also adds often ways to interact with the game. If you have a settings menu, it's kind of hard to adjust the window of the game if you're in the game already. If it's a full screen application, so adding features like that often need to be done in the game itself. So I'll also make a distinction that UI is different from UX. They're often paired together as they are pretty interlinked in how they kind of work. But again, they're distinct things. UX is a little bit more focused on how you actually navigate a given UI. So they're definitely related, but not exactly the same thing. So we're not going to be going over as much of that today, but it'll come up a little bit. So as I mentioned a little earlier, fundamentals of good UI. One of the biggest one is usability. There's I would rather have a good UI that is kind of ugly than a bad UI that looks really cool. It's always important to make sure that you can easily tell what it's actually trying to convey to you, and also try to put important elements first. Just kind of general hierarchy kind of thing. That's just a general design principle. As well as making sure that the way to navigate it is pretty clear to the player. I'm gonna go over a couple bad examples in a minute, but another thing is also keeping it visually appealing. That's not the most important thing to do, but a lot of the time people will be impressed by a good looking UI. So finding ways to have it match the aesthetic of your game, or just even generally look nice, using colors that kind of fit, stuff like that, or typography that looks nice, stuff like that. It's just helps make a better user experience, essentially. These are just a couple examples I thought of that I personally think are pretty bad. Smash 4 is more of a UX issue at the end of the day. I think it's a decent looking UI. It's just if you're trying to navigate this with a stick, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Because if you try to press to the right from the Smash menu, where do you think you're gonna go? That's the thing. You could go to any of those realistically, because if you just press to the right, it's might not be. It could go to the online. It could go to challenges. You don't really know. That's the issue. So that just kind of makes it a little hard to navigate. That said, Smash Tour is a good like guess on where it might go, but that's the issue is you don't know where it would go. Um, Generally, you want to try to have it arranged in a way to where it's like, oh yeah, that would make sense on like where things are placed. I think Destiny 2 does some good things. I think a lot of like their icon usage is like helpful for like kind of pairing things together. But oh my gosh, the way that you actually have to like move around in the menu is so convoluted. Like there's a bunch of different submenus and like the ways of like different tabs and things. It's kind of just a mess in a lot of ways. There's definitely things that they do right, but a lot of the time it's just kind of like needlessly complicated for a game that already is very complicated. Speaking of complicated, most like MMOs kind of fall into this by just nature of like being complex games. If you could tell me what's going on without having played this game, I would be impressed. Just because there's so much text and so many like little menus and pop-up things that it's kind of just hard to tell what's actually happening. Generally, you could assume that they're maybe fighting a boss or something, but beyond that, it's not super clear, which is kind of a main issue of usability. And like the last one that's like a recent example that just bugs the shit out of me is Mario Kart World. Mario Kart World has generally nice looking design in its like UI and stuff, but the issue is like, for some reason they decided to like basically condense down all of your like characters into multiple different pages, which isn't inherently an issue. But for some reason they thought it would be a good idea to have, say, Mario, like a big thing, like a little gimmick of the game is essentially like there's different costumes for each character. So like Mario can dress up as like, I think he's got like a Hawaiian outfit or something like that. For some reason, that's a separate character on the character select screen instead of just like making a folder or something where you click on Mario, you can see all the options for Mario. No. You have to look through to find Mario, and the sorting does not make super clear who's gonna be where. So that's just generally like a kind of an inconvenience. It's not gonna make the game unplayable in any capacity, but like a lot of the time you want to try to make your game easy to use, just because like there's so many different types of games. People do not want to like memorize exactly like how specifically to navigate each game. Also, like even from like a new player's perspective, if like I'm a new player and I'm playing Destiny 2 for the first time, I'm gonna get confused trying to get around that. At least from my experience, that was kind of something I personally felt was an issue with that game. So again, it's not as though these like menus are necessarily like ugly or bad looking. It's just an issue of like how do you actually get around it. So that's something to always consider when you're making one. But kind of get into the two different types that I mentioned earlier. So menus are like the main kind of like way you present information that's like not as important to like moment to moment gameplay. So like instead of like actual like, you know, you're playing Skyrim and you're like roaming around, you press pause and you get like a menu essentially. So usually that holds stuff like your stats, maps, quests, things like that, or like different game modes, options. Again, like I kind of mentioned with options and stuff, like it's usually big things that are like under the hood. So like difficulty is not something like you would usually have like directly in game. It's going to be more of an option. Other stuff like that. I actually put Kirby Air Ride on here specifically because I think that game does like a pretty good job of keeping things like really to the point. A big thing with just designing UI is having it be really simple to get to what you want. So like Kirby Air Ride, your like three main modes you can get to in like pretty much like 2 button presses. So, which is like generally just a lot easier to figure out for a new player. So, on another note, HUDs. So these are essentially like called heads-up display. It actually comes from like, you know, like driving like planes and stuff where they actually have like information like your fuel and like other stuff like that straight up on the screen that you're looking at. It helps you like not have to look away from like the things you're actually doing. Think of like literally like any FPS you're playing or something like that. They always have information such as like your health or how much ammo you have on the screen instead of like having you to like manually check your gun essentially, because like why would you need to do that? So it's mainly trying to like relay information that's relevant to the like core gameplay you're playing. You don't have to like get distracted by something else to go check it. So the main thing of like how to make your UI look good though is kind of trying to like reduce individual elements. you want to try that because a lot of games, depending on what you're playing, generally have a lot going on. Even like as like a new player, it's like Pokemon has so many different mechanics, despite being a very simple game. You want to try to keep things simple. So like I think Pokemon does a good job of this. Of like when you start a battle, you only actually have like 4 like menu options to pick from, and there can be like a couple different like things you can choose within those, but it keeps it very simple. It also is like just essentially instead of like having like a big ass number to show like how much health in it like a Pokemon has, it just uses a health bar. Health bars are like a great example of like just simplifying information, like how much health essentially something has. So, couple other things of like generally like design that are worth considering are the kind of like the Gestalt principles is what they're often referred to as. It's like proximity, similarity, continuity, repetition, and closure. I'm not going to go into all that. That's a little outside the scope of the meeting, but trying to incorporate like things like that are really helpful for like knowing essentially like how to make something like in an organized way. I'm just gonna kind of shoot out here. You guys have any examples of like games that you personally like that you think either have or don't like, I guess, games that have really good or bad UI? Yeah.
I think Smash Bros. Ultimate has good UI.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly due to the fact that everything's centered, and it's not like Smash 4 where everything's kind of messy.
Mm-hmm.
It's, all neatly set up. You kind of get an idea of where everything is, and it's kind of quick and to the point.
Yeah, I think Smash Ultimate definitely like kind of improves on what like 4 was trying to do in some sense.
Yeah.
So, sweet. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say, Fortnite, like season 1 and now as being 2 completely different beasts.
Yeah.
The original Fortnite, it was pretty standard. It kind of copied what Overwatch was doing, where you got your little party out in front of you, a ready up button, and then the little mode selector that let you like do like squad up or solo. That was it. Now it feels like I'm playing Roblox, but I'm forced to like scroll down to change anything. But all the regular Fortnite game modes aren't just right there. They're in a folder called Recently Played, and then by Fortnite. But then they're all mixed up. It's very frustrating, and I don't like it.
Right. Yeah, I would definitely say like I feel like the like average person playing Fortnite is definitely like wanting to just play the core Fortnite modes. So like having everything equally listed on there is kind of a bit of an interesting choice in my opinion. So
they just really want me to play Fortnite D-Day or something.
right. Anyone else got a good example? Yeah.
The recent Zelda games have pretty bad UI.
Yeah.
They've developed this obsession with horizontally scrolling lists that are hundreds of elements long.
Yeah, I think like Tears of the Kingdom especially is very interesting in how they decide to incorporate that, just because there's definitely better ways they could kind of go about that, but yeah.
I think Stellaris has a very good UI. It's a very complicated game, so there's a lot of stuff, but all like the most important information is very easy to see at a glance, and like all the more general information that can be used is at most like a click or 2 away.
Yeah. I would say like that's generally a good rule of thumb is like you always want your important information to be like easily accessible. There's no real reason why you should have like a whole lot of just kind of detail stuff, like the main thing that you're getting shown when you're like looking at a menu. You always want to kind of have it like organized in like order of importance. So like, your individual like stats or something like that does not need to be the first menu you see when you like pause the game, for example. Unless that is really important to the type of game you're playing, then maybe you should. But like if I'm playing Pokemon, the first thing I don't really need to see like every individual stat of my Pokemon when I first open up a menu. So cool. Any others or gonna move on? Yeah.
I thought Undertale's a good example of good UI that looks terrible.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I would say like Undertale definitely is like it's simple, and I think it works like because of that as well. So sweet. Okay. So now to the next part of actually making UI. We're gonna be, as I think I mentioned earlier, going over like making a health bar essentially. So you can use whatever image software you want. if you want to use like Paint.net, GIMP, Photoshop, whatever. It's gonna be kind of general anyway. Main thing is you just need to be able to like have layers. So I'll be using Photoshop for mine, but again, it's gonna be pretty like general. So, but let me pull up that if it'll load. Okay, here. So I kind of actually started on a little earlier, but we'll make a new one. So let's see. Let's just make like let's just do 3,000 by 3,000. It doesn't really matter. It's generally applicable to like whatever style as well. So like if you're doing like something like, you know, more modern, or like doing something more like pixel art, sprite based, it's gonna work either way. It's just kind of like how we're gonna be implementing it into Unity. So the main kind of thing you'll want to do first is like, since we're gonna be doing like a bar, it's gonna be essentially 3 parts. There's gonna be a essentially overlay, so like essentially just something to make it look nicer. So we'll just do like a rectangle, for example. Yeah,
Make sure the background is transparent when you start this.
that is true. So like I'm doing it in Photoshop, so it's gonna have a background to start. You'll want to turn that off. Pretty much any image software is gonna have a little like checker grid like that. So you'll want to make sure that's showing, because that represents transparency. Let me get rid of this timeline.
If anyone needs help with their art programs, I can.
I was gonna say, yeah. If anyone does have issues, I can also jump around. But, so like, I'm just gonna like make a rectangle real quick. Just kind of like, okay, Photoshop will be nice about it, but, so we'll just make a rectangle and then give it like a stroke. Let's do like.
So are we allowed to do our own thing, or do we kind of have to?
No, you can. I mean, we're just doing like a health bar, so you just can do it however you want, really. It just needs to, you know, kind of be a health bar for implementing it. But so like, say this is kind of my health bar. Maybe we'll put like some cool text on here to like show that. Let's not do it in Papyrus. Let's do like health. So we'll do. Okay, hold on.
So now.
So we'll do like that. And then let's say I want to use like Arial or something. So like we can just put that up here.
Wait, I can.
So fairly simple. I might even just actually make like a little angle to it to keep it interesting, you know. I know, getting a little crazy over here, but oh, I messed that up. Okay, let's scoot that over. Okay, so like let's just say this is my health bar. Maybe I find a little bit more interesting of a typeface. Like let's do like that. Sure, that works. Okay, so there's gonna be 2 other parts then. So this is our like main kind of like overlay part. I'm gonna sit down for this, but so we'll just like merge these into one. So behind this then we're gonna be putting another shape, in this case gonna be another rectangle for the actual bar. So I'm gonna use let's say red for this. So we'll use like a bright red essentially for that. And this is gonna be actual bar that we're gonna essentially like chop off parts of in Unity to like show that you're taking damage. So it can be literally whatever color. You can have it be a gradient if you really want. Doesn't really matter. But so we'll do like a red bar, for example, here, and it just needs to be able to like fit within the space you define, like in your overlay for the health bar. So we'll have that, and then we're actually gonna just duplicate this layer to be the background. So let's say we want this one to be. Let's just do like a grayish kind of to show like the negative space. So like when you take damage, it's gonna show like the lost health essentially. So like I was gonna do this real quick to visualize. So it's like I'm at like half health or something. It's gonna be like there-ish, for example. So, but essentially your layers are gonna look like you're gonna have your overlay, you're gonna have your actual like health bar, and then you're gonna have like a background for those. So does that kind of make sense for the most part? Okay, sweet. So yeah, I guess I'll give you guys a little bit of time to kind of like whip something up. You can spend as much or as little time as you want on it. I'll give you guys like 10 minutes.
If you want me, I can plug my computer in and I can just make my own thing.
Sure.
Also.
Yeah. I'll set a timer for like 10 minutes if you guys just want to work for a little bit. So, but I'll probably try to make mine look a little fancier too.
Oh yeah, also, if you guys don't have your Unity projects at least loading by now, please raise your hand and we'll come around and help you.
I need to plug my laptop though.
Yes, you do.
My bad. Ooh.
So I guess you should stop recording on yours.
Yep, I'm doing that in a moment.
Okay.
Overlay part.
So, just to reiterate, I'm going to split this health bar into 3 layers. We're going to have the background layer that will represent the lack of health. So let me get a big old brush. Let's make it like 80. Yeah, that's big. Okay, there we go. I'm also going to make the hardness all the way so that I don't get like soft edges. So I'm going to make a vertical health bar because I like being different. So I'm going to do it like this. So this is what my health bar will look like whenever I have 0 HP. And then a layer above that, I'm going to make the health part of the health bar. So I'm just going to draw over it and fill that in like so. So that's what my health bar will look like whenever I have full HP. No HP, full HP. It changes colors. This is good to like communicate to the player that, hey, I'm losing health. I don't like purple. I like red. And then on this top layer here, I'm gonna make an overlay kind of, because you know how all text bar, like health bars have those little boxes, those little rectangles around them, and they're all stylized, kind of like how Wyatt made with his. That's what I'm gonna put on top, so it kind of like covers up all the rough edges. So I'm gonna make that like
This one?
what color should I make it, Cole?
Black.
Black. Okay.
All-
Okay. We can do black.
Grab
Black.
that middle one there and then pull it.
So I'm gonna turn off the health layer just to make sure I get all this stuff lined up. So we're gonna
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks.
do a little bit of this action,
I just think it looks neat.
Yeah.
and then we're gonna do a little bit of
And
this
you can use a
action.
brush or something to fill that in behind it.
Okay, boom. Nice. This kind of looks like another portal, but you know. But then off to the side here, I'm gonna do like a little stylistic thing, and I'm gonna leave a little space for health numbers to be displayed. So I'm gonna make that like a nice green, and I'm gonna use a rectangle. It's gonna be like, ooh, I'm gonna put the number there. Like how many hit points do you have?
Pull that HP, bro.
So once you guys come up with your health bar in whatever program you're using, we're gonna need 3 PNGs so that we can stack them on top of each other in the Unity editor. Assuming you have the Unity editor open, I'm gonna go through this with the Unity editor. If you don't, please raise your hand, we'll help you. But in most programs, if you just want each layer as an individual PNG, all you have to do is hide every layer that you're not using, and then you can just do File, Save As, PNG, and it'll just save that particular layer as a PNG with transparency. So that's what I'm gonna do here. So I'm gonna put this in my Unity folder, and I'm gonna call this health bar overlay. I'm gonna make it a PNG. I don't know what a PNG stands for, but that's not important. Really?
I think so.
Nerd. Oh my gosh, go back to nerd school.
I'm not gonna believe it.
I'm gonna save this, and then Paint.net is gonna be like, oh, you're gonna flatten it? You're gonna get rid of all those layers? Oh no, my work's gone. Oh no, Control Z. Boom. And then I just repeat that for the other 2 layers. So, File, Save As. And then I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna do health bar, health juice.
and I'm going to save it as a PNG. If you can see where I'm going with this, then bam, bam, bam. And also, if you do get the template project opened up, I do have an example. I have example PNGs in there. If you don't want to make your own for some reason, it's there. So I'm going to do Control Z, hide that, show that.
Yeah.
File.
Yeah, so you'll create another one underneath. Yep, and then
Oh.
you'll essentially just color in, like with you can use like a brush or something like that.
I think I know how to fix it.
I also installed the
like
editor.
overlay part. So
Whenever you right click on the Unity
Press D for the
executable, hit
brush.
run as administrator, and that should fix it.
and you'll just like you have it on white right now, so you can just set that to whatever color you'd like.
Health bar background.
And then you'll color in behind there, which is the blue. Fill that in.
PNG. Because I looked it up and someone else was having that issue, and it's because they weren't signed in
Yeah,
as
you'll
the
make
correct user on their
another one.
laptop. So I'm
So
assuming
that's gonna be your help color.
running it as administrator should fix it.
So you'll make a new layer,
It did not.
and then you'll.
Short of uninstalling it and reinstalling it,
When you lose the help,
the whole thing.
show behind
Shoot.
it. So if you want it to just be like gray or something.
You're gonna have
that
to go
would-
dive in on Stack Overflow for that one. I'm out of
So
ideas.
use another brush essentially to color that in. Dark blue maybe. You just want to make sure it's different enough from the main one that you have.
You're not participating?
Your
I
last
like this.
Yeah, that works. Then you'll just color that in again as well.
What is this supposed to?
No, you're on the right layer.
Like do this?
Yeah, you'll color that in and then
Wait a few more minutes.
Do we all need some more time to make our art?
Like this?
yep, and then you can go to your layers and then just move
Is
it
it like
behind.
a good
See that?
HP bar thing with like
So
super
now,
meter
what
or
you'll
whatever?
do is you'll click file. Actually, you'll want to first turn off those to your actual.
so
help
what
bar.
all do you have
So
on
you'll
each layer?
Click the eye on both of those.
So
I
yeah,
have shadow.
Then you'll click file, and you'll do you can do save as or export, whatever you
Like
want
it's
really for that.
awesome.
Very good.
And you'll export it as a
And then
PNG.
you
so
make
it has
it
to be
as a
transparent. Oh, you can't do it. in
So
Photoshop,
what
have
you
to-
do
so
is
just go to
that
file,
you can hide
export,
all but one
and then just
layer
do quick export.
and then save as PNG.
Do I do another one for like
And then-
both?
Yeah, you'll do another one
That'll
for
just
the
save this
first
as a
bar,
PNG.
and then another one
You
for the
get rid of
background
your other
bar.
layers.
You'll need to
which you
turn
can
off
then
that one,
undo
the other two
to
layers.
sync
So
the
you'll
up the
turn off
next
that, and
layer.
then your HP one.
So you can
after
save
that.
it as a PNG. It kind of sucks that you don't have a Unity project that you put it in something else.
I'll give that new names.
No, it's or yeah, so it's gonna delete the other one. If you don't do it.
Go to the open file.
And then you'll do the last one.
So
it's turn off that one. Yeah, there you go.
So, C program data.
Yes, now we're just have a little bit, like a minute more until we'll start the next part.
Okay, so I should be good.
Yep, for now. Or actually, my timer's going up now. So.
What?
Does anyone want more time with their health bar or like?
Or do you
Or
are stuck on any particular step? It can be any step. It doesn't matter, I'll still help you.
Man, go be a game design major then. Bum. Get all over this guy.
Get a load of this guy.
Get all over this guy.
Get a load of this guy.
Okay. Yeah, if everyone's pretty much good, I'm not hearing any no's, we can get started on the Unity part. So, Adam's also going to be leading that part.
Yes. And if I go too fast, tell me. And if I'm still going too fast, I can also just go through the steps again. There's only like 8 steps to this. So I'll do it as many times as we need. Okay. So once you have your 3 PNGs, with transparency. You're going to want to go into your Unity project. Now, what you're going to see is a list of folders before ye, and you need to open the template project that I sent the announcements.
Go to the Discord real quick.
So your little project explorer up here might be a little bit different. There's a reason for that. You just need to go into scenes and then double click on sample scene. Don't know why Unity's like default scene and the one they want you to use is different, but just go into scenes, double click on sample scene,
And then you'll just
it'll load it.
download that.
But regardless, it should work.
You're gonna have to log into your
So once you're here, in my template, I made a little folder called sprites that contains the sprites.
or no, don't go. Okay, that looks nice too.
Yo, why aren't I thought I saved the PNGs here? What's going on? One second. Join Explorer.
Okay, go back to the
Sprite.
page or the Discord report. Click the link again.
Oh, it seems I have misplaced my PNGs.
Okay, and then you'll click the download button.
Test health bar.
Okay, now you'll go to
Oh.
Unity.
I'm a goofy little goober. I had a test project set up, because I was practicing this whole presentation yesterday. I need to resave my PNGs, so let me do that real quick.
And then you'll do that. Yes, select that folder.
GDC health. Then
No, not that.
let's do
yeah,
assets
yeah, got it,
and then
scrap.
sprites. So yeah, if you have your 3 PNGs, put them in your assets folder so that Unity is able to see and use them.
Just whichever one. Extract one.
So this is the
Okay,
health
now
bar
you'll
background, which I want
Back
to name
Unity.
PNG. So
From disk.
let's do
That one. Okay.
file.
No, I the version you don't need. First time it happened this process.
Yeah.
What you might
So
do.
yeah, that'll have to download for a bit. So sorry. Please make sure to do that for the meeting.
was already set up.
Yeah, it has to be the latest version of Unity. So
I don't get why it doesn't just automatically update.
I wish it did too, but I think some people like have older versions.
Yeah, it's for like compatibility reasons.
Right. Sometimes it breaks everything for no reason.
Yeah, my entire senior design project is on a Unity version, like a year old.
That's me.
Hmm.
You're on to something there.
You're on to something, bub.
Okay, buddy.
Okay. Okay.
And they say.
What? And they say?
Yeah. So
And the trumpets they go.
what?
I don't know. I don't know why that. I don't know, man. Just let me do my little silly tutorial. Why don't you?
I didn't say anything.
I'll make that a PNG. Oh, wrong assets. Sprites. Okay. Yeah, sorry for that. Got my stuff saved. We're good. So, once you're in Unity and you you're at this screen, go to assets, make sure you can see wherever you saved your sprites. I put in sprites. The first step that you'll want to do once in Unity is to right click on your little sample scene explorer and then go into UI, parentheses canvas, and then click on canvas. That will create a canvas. A canvas in Unity is essentially I guess it's a 2D plane that you can like create user interface stuff to overlay on top of your actual game. So it might not look like anything was created because Unity starts you out at this very small view down the corner. You just got to zoom out a bunch, and then there'll be this big 16:9 rectangle that represents your screen. Don't give me that look. Okay, buddy. Okay, so once you're in your canvas, we're gonna create a new empty object. Create empty. We're gonna call this empty object health bar. How creative, I know. So we have this little square here and it's at the center. So what this means is that this UI element is pinned to the center of the screen. So it doesn't matter what you do, what resolution you're at, what size your screen is, this UI element will always render at the center of your screen. Now, a lot of games have the health bar in the corner because you don't want the health bar in the center of your screen. That's where your game goes. So
You could definitely try it.
you could try it. You could try it. So whenever you're in this menu, you can see this little kind of crosshair thing. That is your anchor preset. So it'll, with this user interface here, you can essentially anchor this UI element to any of the 4 corners or 4 sides of your screen. So as you scale resolution between devices, it will all, like your UI elements will always reliably be in the same general position to the edge of the screen. So what we're going to do is that I'm going to put my cool health bar in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen because that's where health bars go a lot of the time. So I'm just going to, I want to shove it in the far corner. So I'm going to hold Shift and then Alt, which will push these little preview boxes to the very bounds of the screen. So I'm going to hold Shift, Alt, and then press on the bottom left corner, and then that locks health bar to the bottom of the screen, the bottom left corner of the screen. So now we got this little thing. Now, in the grand scheme of things, this is kind of small. I want like a big chunky health bar. So I'm just going to scale up this box to take up an obnoxious size on my screen because I don't care. So once you have that done, and one more thing, this box represents the outer limits that this UI element can display at. So if you try to blow up your images past this point, it just won't render. So you need to scale this box for how big you want your UI elements to be. Cool. So let me check my notes just to make sure I'm good here. Okay. Yeah, we're good. So now we can start adding our images that we added. So right click on your health bar object to create your images. To create like a UI image, you right click on that, go down to UI, parentheses canvas, and then image. And that creates this little white box. So then you can just kind of drag and drop from down here over to this source image, and then bam, got your image. Now this does kind of look a little bit messed up, and we'll fix that. So there should be a way to then canvas. Yes. Okay, to fix this in constant pixel size. So the canvas right now my little image is kind of squished. I don't like that. So we are going to go back to our canvas object, click on the canvas scaler in this little drop down that says constant pixel size, and then we're going to do scale with screen size. And then we're going to set our target resolution to, I guess, the resolution of our display, which in most cases is 1920 by 1080. Oh, that's -79. 1080. Okay, cool. And then set native size. There we go. Okay, cool. So once you do that, you click, you go back to your image and press set native size, and that undoes any kind of scaling that Unity may have tried to do. I'm noticing that it's kind of off the bounds of the screen here. So I'm gonna actually go back up to this parent object health bar, and I'm gonna move that to safety. It'll still be anchored to the same side of the screen. It's gonna kind of be set at an offset from that corner. Okay, we have our base image. We know how to undo the scaling mishaps. We're gonna add our second image. So I'm gonna right click, UI canvas, image, And I'm just going to do my health juice now. Bam. And then set native size. Okay, now our health juice is overlaying our, I guess, background. You can also rename these objects here so you don't get confused. You just click on it, and then in the inspector on the right, you can adjust the name. So I'm going to name this background, and then juice for the juice. So then I'm going to do this one more time. UI canvas, image, and then I'm going to overlay my overlay. And then set native size. And then it's a little off center, but I'm just going to adjust that so it lines up. And there you go. That's more or less all there is to importing your sprites into Unity. So I'm going to call this overlay. Now, for those who are following along, did my explanation make sense? I can reiterate any points if anyone's lost.
Still waiting for my version to download.
Mhm. Cool. So I guess if we're good to go along, also thumbs ups and thumbs downs, very useful for me as a presenter. But if we're good to go along, we'll just go along. So now that we have our, what was it? Oh, okay. Gosh, you're being so loud. So now that we have our images in, we're probably going to want to display the health bar numbers. So how you do that is that you right click on health bar again, and then you're going to want to go down to UI again. And then there's this thing called Text Mesh Pro. It's essentially the Unity Editor's UI version of a text tool. It does all the same fancy screen scaling stuff that your images will do. So just click on that. If you're doing that for your first time, it'll ask you to install a Text Mesh Pro dependency. Just click yes. It'll install the essentials, and then it'll just work. So I'm going to kind of move this down here. And so we're going to be changing the text in the scripts later on, so you can put this to whatever template text you want. I'm going to do health number smiley face. And that's what that'll look like. We'll make it all dynamic and stuff here in a minute. I don't know, actually. Let's find out. Font asset. Okay, buddy.
It's Liberation Sans. Oh, do you have to import one? Never mind.
Yeah. We are not going to be using custom fonts in this tutorial. Can you help them out? Okay, cool. So, before we add the script, we need to do one more thing. On our little health juice, we need to add something special.
You just need to do either that one or one of the other ones. So
forgive me. I did set up the health juice slightly incorrectly. So the health juice, I'm just gonna. Actually, we don't need to delete the object. We just need to create a new empty object underneath health bar. So create empty. We're gonna call this health mask. And then we're going to make juice a child of health mask so that it looks like this. And then we're going to make sure that everything's in the right order. Another thing that's worth mentioning in this inspector, for your canvas, the lower an object is on this hierarchy is the height at which it displays. So the items at the bottom of this hierarchy will display on top of everything. So just make sure you have all of that stuff in the correct order if you want it to display correctly. So in your new health mask parent, that is the parent of juice, you're gonna add a new component to that called a rect mask 2D. Essentially what this is going to allow us to do is that it's going to allow us to hide parts of our health juice as we lose it.
Taking a bite out of it.
Yeah.
Or a sip out of it in the case of juice.
A little sippy. So what's going on here? Health mask. Okay. Oh, that's kind of cool. So it's going to kind of make this really small default square. It's going to hide your stuff. Just kind of resize that till it fixes it for the health mask. Because again, the health mask is hiding the health bar. That's its point. That's its purpose. So let me kind of show you what this rect mask does. So we have all these 4 numbers, left, right, top, and bottom. Now, what does that do? That essentially takes a chunk, it takes a big bite out of the side of your image that you want to mask. So let's say I want to take away, you know, I want to make the top of the sprite transparent. So I want to lose a little bit of health. I'll add like 100, and that hides the top 100 of that image's pixels. So I can go 200, I can go 300, and so on and so forth. It just hides a defined amount of pixels from the image. And you can even go from the left to right. So I can do like 50, I can do 100, and it'll take it away from the left side of the image. So now that we have this set up, we're gonna make a script. So bear with me here. I will be building the script a block at a time and explaining as I go to give you guys time to kind of write down and copy my script. So I will right click on this. I'll just right click anywhere in your assets folder on the bottom, create mono behavior script. And then it'll create it, and I'm gonna call that cool freaking health bar script. .cs. And then that'll create little template scripts, and what you'll do is that you'll just double click on it, and then Unity will open your default editor of choice, and yes, I trust the authors. And you're brought right here. So you have this little bit of template code. You won't be needing to change it at all. We're just going to be adding to the script, so don't worry about that. The first thing that we need to do is that we need to add input parameters for our script. So we're going to need to define the current health, your max HP, and then a couple of other things. Like we need to define what is our mask and like what is our health juice, all that stuff. So I'm going to go to my thing here. I'm just going to grab these little things. Okay. So, oh, I also need a few imports. Sorry. Wow. Sorry, my meeting's boring. Quiet. I mess with it. Okay. So you'll need these 3 dependencies and these serialized fields. Once I'm done writing the script, I'll just paste it into the meeting chat in case y'all need it, but do keep in mind the template that I provided with all of you has a completed version of the script already there if you don't wish to code. So the serialized fields are essentially inputs that allow you to set custom things in the editor, like I said. So health, max health, the rect transform, which is that parent object that I mentioned earlier. So if it'll load here, that rect mask 2D is what will go in the health mask there, and then the transform is the image itself. My mistake, because you are transforming the image. So we'll go back to this. So I got these fields. Do we need to slow down for anybody?
I haven't had the chance to start yet. I'm still waiting.
Yeah. That's how it is. That's all right. Okay. Nothing. So I'll copy in the next part of my program here, which in this case, I'm just going to put in the instance variables that we'll need. These here are just temporary variables that will keep track of math that we're going to be doing. We're going to have to calculate the number of pixels that we will need to hide given a certain health. So we'll put this in here. And then we'll add this right here. So within your start chunk of code. Oh no, got rid of start. There we go. So we have to do 2 calculations upon startup. We need to calculate what is the full size of the health bar at the very start, and we also need to have a baseline for what, I guess, the current size of the health bar will be as we start changing stuff. So if you're making a horizontal health bar, I put some comments right here. You'll be using the X parameter and Z parameter. Since I'm making a vertical health bar, I will be using the W parameter and the Y parameter. So calculating the full mask takes the image height in pixels, saves that as a number, and then we subtract whatever padding we want to take off from the top and bottom. So what I actually mean by this is that in Unity here, the red image of the health bar actually extends past what you can see a little bit. We need to cut that off because that is just going to throw off our health calculations. So what you'll do to your rect mask 2D is that on your padding, you will take off as many pixels as you can without making a noticeable difference. So if I try to take away 50, okay, I can kind of see that. I'm going to take away 40. Okay, I can kind of see that. 30, still can see it, so 20. I can shave off 20 pixels from the top of this image, and it makes no visual difference. This will make our calculations more accurate later on, and I do the same thing for the bottom. So I'm just going to set that to 20 also. Okay, cool. So that is, so now we know the height in pixels that our full mask is supposed to be. Then the initial mask is just the padding that I added off the top, just to help with calculations. So if you're doing like a left to right health bar, you'll take the padding off the right. So you'll do like padding.z. So that's our start calculations. Now, believe it or not, we're actually almost done. So I'll copy this last batch of code and then I will explain it in chunks. Oh, I forgot to get rid of my old stuff there. Okay, cool. So these first 2 are pretty simple. So we are saving the health integer that we input from our Unity editor as health. And math.clamp, what that does is that means any number that you give this cannot go above what you have set for max health, and it cannot go below 0. You don't want negative HP. You don't want overheal unless that's the kind of game you're going for. You know, I'm not judging. Health text, .set text, essentially will set that text dialog or that text box that I put in the project earlier to whatever we want. In this case, we are going to set it to health over max health. So target mask is going to be the target amount, the target height of pixels that we will want our result image to be. So let's say we take let's say our image is 1,000 pixels tall. We just took 50 out of 100 damage. We want that image to now be 500 pixels tall. So how we do that is that we take the full mask, so the full height of the image, divided by the max health. So that tells us how many pixels one health point is worth, and then you multiply that by your health points, and then that gets you your target amount of pixels. So then our new mask will add our initial mask. I'm sorry, I'm saying mask a lot, by the way. Add it, so we'll take our initial mask that we calculated earlier, add our full mask, and then subtract the target mask. That may seem a little counterintuitive, but how the actual mask works in Unity is that instead of like saying, hey, I only want the image to be, 10 pixels tall, I say, hey, I want to remove 10 pixels. So the bigger the number, the less image you have. So that's why the math is done in the way that it is. So then I have this temp variable called padding. So padding equals health mask dot padding. So that saves what the current image, the current state of the image, and then we set the height that we want, which we calculate in a new mask, and then health mask dot padding, which takes all 4 dimensions that you could remove pixels from and just puts it into health mask, which then is your result. I'm terribly sorry if that was confusing. It was kind of confusing for me whenever I was learning this, so I do apologize. But this is all of the code you'll need for this to work. So does everybody that needs this have this? Yes.
No, I kind of got lost because it kept trying to open the code editor. So I changed that.
I think the script you said was in some.
Yeah, I got it.
Right.
I got the help. It was in the assets.
Sick. Okay. Yeah. So this entire script is actually in the template project that I provided for you guys to download. So if you get lost, you can copy and paste from that, or you can just use that. I don't mind.
But it's like a pretty good rough template on figuring out how to actually kind of implement something like this.
Yes. So cool. I'll wait for Cole. So not sure there's much else I can say. Yeah, I can show it. Okay. Oh, let me make sure I've saved it. Okay. Is it all there? It is. Wonderful. So I'm going to teach you guys how to actually implement this now. So in your top level object there, health bar, we need to add the script. So all you do is that you take your cool freaking health bar script and drag and drop it. And you'll see, oh my gosh, look at all these bleeps and bloops, all these inputs here. We define that at the top of our file. So let's say we want 100 HP and we want 100 max health. And then we need to just kind of drag and drop these last 3 inputs. So the text one, that's easy. You just grab your text, toss it in there. So now our text is going to work. Then we have the health mask and rect transform. The transform is our image, our juice, because that is what we are transforming. And then our health mask is our health mask, which is the not image. So, okay, that should be everything actually to get this working. Famous last words, am I right? So, ooh, look at that. It says 100 out of 100. So now we will take away health. So oh no, 50 HP. Oh, dude. Oh man, that was a huge blow. Then we can go to 40 or 20 even, 10 is barely anything. But it scales linearly, based off of what percent of health that you have because of the math equations we set up. So we can set it to 100 HP, and then we can set our max HP to 1,000. So now everything's on a scale from 1 to 1,000. So I can do, 365, and it only goes up a little bit. But yeah, that is actually everything. That is everything for the Unity health bar. So I can come around, help people. If people want me to just redo parts of this and show them again, I can just delete it and do it again. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. So, thank you.
Then you kind of have any last minute questions real quick? So I'll kind of just run through the quick reminders and then kind of be around to help.
It's still loading. Please tell me this is recorded so they can.
Yeah,
it's
this
recorded.
one. So
Thank you. Oh my
okay,
gosh.
you want to stop your recording? I'll just do the outro.
Oh, I love Unity. I love it
That is a real sentiment.
Here you
Okay, thank you. Oh my goodness.
You're in the way.
Oh my god, dude.
Thank you, the tutorial was really good.
Of course.
I
I
appreciate
really
that.
wish I could have participated.
Okay.
That's all right.
I did for the first bit.
True. Okay. There we go. Okay, so just a couple quick reminders. Again, next week we're gonna be going over game feel, so like the certain kind of like mechanics and like ways of implementing features that kind of like affect how the game feels to control and like navigate. Additionally, Adam's here again, of course. So if you're interested in paying your dues, chat with him after the meeting. I will have the shirts next week if you did order one, or if you forgot that you ordered one, I can let you know. So, and again, social night's gonna be this Friday downstairs in Carver, Carver 04, I guess. So a little different spot than normal, just because I don't know why the reservation just kind of like I think there was like some event or something, wasn't it, Cole? Or
Yeah, there was some of them.
yeah, something going on, so they had the space reserved. So we'll be in Carver this week, so just keep that in mind. We will have pizza, so make sure to come get some. So it'll be a fun time. So without further ado, go forth, make games be awesome. Thanks for everybody for coming.